Hey guys, and welcome to a brand new video to the channel, and all I can say is wow. I have just finished watching the Runescape Ahead post and they have absolutely smashed this out. Now, before we get started and before we get jumped into anything, there's a few things I want you guys to do. One, check out the post I'm going to put in the description as well as the video. The video is quite long. It's probably going to be about half an hour, but it goes into a lot more detail of the updates which are coming out over the next year. And it's definitely worth a watch in my opinion. And also as well, leave some feedback in the comments. Let me know what you think. What are the big wins? What are the big losses? Obviously, we're going to cover everything and I'll give my opinion on everything as well. But I'd like to know what you guys think. Let's start a big comment section going, like we have done over a lot of these treasure hunter videos as well. Now, to get started, the first thing is treasure hunter has now been removed. No more microtransaction items are for sale. And they sort of outline that as one of the first big things from this message as well. Another thing before we jump in, we now have a new RuneScape logo and they've got rid of the free. So is it just known as RuneScape now? I guess it is. So the roadmap is just here. And then once you click through, you have the ability to go and view the roadmap right here as well. Like I say, 100% worth doing, and they absolutely smashed it in terms of content. Now, in the video, we're going to have two different things. You're going to have the Road to Restoration, which is basically going to be the integrity roadmap. And then we're also going to have the RuneScape free roadmap, which is going to be all of the updates coming up. Now, we started with the Road to Restoration in the video, and that's where we're going to start now. And my first impression of this was every time they went along the line, it just got better and better. There are some things in here which have been requested for so long, and they are some massive updates. Now, in terms of updates, there's been some updates today. They've visually updated Misfilin and Esgarnia, so places like Barrock, Lumbridge, Draenor have had an update to kind of tie in with where a lot of the other areas are going, and it's really nice actually. You could tell like during the video cast and a couple of the panning shots that it looks a lot cleaner and a lot better for it as well. But we'll go through the rest of it here. So we're going to have the AI update. So this is also, I believe, happened today, where they've made it a little less clunky, a bit more back to an old style, and maybe towards the end of the video, if it's not too long, we'll go and visit it as well. We have cosmetics where you have the ability now to toggle it on and off, which is nice. I know that when they did that for a couple of servers, it went down incredibly well. So if you've got someone, or if you've got like World 84 where you got a lot of people with cosmetics and you don't want to see it, you can just get rid of it by toggling it off. And then we have the Misfilin and Esgarnia refreshes as well. We have the World Declutter First Wave. So there's a couple of updates where they said there's going to be a spring version, an autumn version of different like things they're going to do. For combat, they're going to make a combat style modernization, which is pretty massive actually. They made very close detail on the fact that when they did necromancy, some things worked really well, so they're going to focus on this for the other skill. The combat rebalance is something which is massively needed still. I still think some styles are better than others, but also a modernization to make it not something like a square box which was fit in a round hole, just to make something which is completely suited to the game, which is really nice. Early game, we're looking at doing a balancing update, and this is going to be for skills, for drops and stuff like that, which from playing a lot of low level accounts is definitely the right thing to do. In terms of like GP making and stuff and like drops in that, the early game really is very barren. It's not very rewarding. There are some items like wood spirits, which are worth a little bit, but in general, like the drop tables for the lower levels is definitely not there. And the skilling as well can be a little bit brutal. And as well, more visual updates where they're going to be regrouping items and stuff like that. They're going to be looking at Dailyscape during the spring-summer period. They're going to be regrouping overrides. There's going to be a massive game update where we're going to get free rune metrics, which is one of the massive things, which was one of the things which made me like go, really, wow, that's something really good. And the next one as well, where we drop straight after, is that they're looking at removing auras and giving the aura sort of system a complete overhaul to give the benefits of an aura in-game. Really, I think you could look at making it something like invention level, like make it a perk or something. But again, to have the auras removed, it just means you're not on a timer. If you can have something passive during your whole time gameplay, and that could be massive. Summer to autumn, we have Grand Exchange improvements, more balancing, but this time's for mid-game, and another deep clean of some updates and stuff like that. They're trying to almost get rid of a lot of stuff, and I think like 2027, looking ahead, could be an even bigger year, because of what they're trying to sort of update and what they're trying to remove, and they're trying to make it a whole cleaner process in terms of this restoration, which is so good to see. And then finally, in autumn and winter, we have more game improvements on the social side, and this is things like public chat, friends chat, and all that kind of stuff. Another deep cleaning and sweeping stuff up. A balancing update for the end game, so they've done low level and mid level, and they're just going to sort of tie up the end game as well, which is very nice. And then also the player avatar update, which we'll talk about in another second. And then the final update is going to be the game update with a plugin support. RS3 is going to get its own version of Havenhythe, which is absolutely massive. And especially for things like a possible quest helper, a loot system, it can be huge as well. So the fact we can get something along the lines of an improved Grand Exchange, an improved Aura system, rune metrics, and a plugin in 1 year is absolutely, I was happy with just this bit. So without actually seeing any of the updates, I was more than happy with all this. Then we move to the actual updates which are coming this year. So obviously now Treasure Hunter is now gone. We now have Havenhythe, which was originally supposed to come in the winter, but it's been pushed back for quite a good reason, really. I think it's got so much content to it. And Havenhythe's going to come in 2 parts. So we're going to have Havenhythe 1, which is going to be for the sort of springtime over the next month or so. And then we're going to have the final sort of part of Havenhythe, Havenhythe 2, towards the winter sort of months. Now, I think this is the right way to do it, because if it was all done in one sort of section, it'd be rushed and the content would be sort of done. Whereas spacing it out just means that you're going to have 2 different layers. So the entry level is going to have 2 new storyline quests, 2 new early game bosses, 2 new mini quests, 110 Hunter, which is massive. And they've also mentioned as well that there's going to be another way to do some Hunter with Big Game Hunter, which is going to be really nice. And again, better ways to go and do some Hunter XP. They've mentioned Birdhouse coming back. They've mentioned having clockwork box traps. A lot of really inventive ways of training Hunter as well. And a lot more things benefited to it. Havenhythe is going to have a lot of skilling areas. And then you're just going to start unraveling this area and start picking up stuff which is going to relate to part 2. Which seems to be a lot more of the high tier content. The first sort of wave of Havenhythe seems to be lower to mid level, which I don't think is a bad thing. I do think it's a really good way to get people into the area, to level themselves up, to be prepared for what's going to be coming later on in the year. So then moving on, we have the player avatar. What the players have been wanting for so long is a updated, refreshed, modernized experience when it comes to the player avatar. And the first stage of that is going to come in between spring and summer, which is going to be absolutely massive and really interesting to see how it goes down as well. It's going to give us new options of other stuff as well. So it's going to be avatar, hair, clothes, and how it talks in the chat as well, like its speech and stuff. So that's going to be really nice. We're going to have the Blooming Burrow as always for the Easter event. I still think it's worthwhile, these seasonal events. They are really, really nice for like people to sort of socialize, which they have mentioned they want it to be more socialized in terms of the game as well. And remastered content update, which very similar to like a couple of updates in the Road to Restoration. They're going to do a big stint in spring and then a big stint in sort of autumn, winter as well. So 2 big updates in the year, rather than little ones just do 2 big chunks, which again, it works in my opinion. Now, summer to autumn is going to be massive. The player-owned house is getting a massive overhaul. Now, for years, we've looked at old school and realized that old school in terms of the player-owned house have it better. Like their player-owned house is so much more efficient, it's so much better used, and it's so much more optimized for actual gameplay compared to the RS3 house. This is when it possibly changes. So 120 construction is going to be massive for content. It's going to be massive to make GP as well, because people will want 120 construction, and the best way to do it, in my opinion, is 4 through 3. So going forward, 4 through 3, making the planks, making the refined frames, can be a huge way to make profit, and it's something we'll look at a little later on. We're going to have a brand new dig site as well, which is going to be great. We've not had a brand new dig site now in nearly 2 years. So maybe we'll have some new relics. Maybe we'll have some new invention components. We'll have a new spot for soil, new materials, so much which could happen to that. And we'll have the seasonal event, which will probably just be the beach. But you know what? The seasonal events work. They do their purpose. I imagine they're going to amend the rewards just over a little bit less overpowered is the best word. I don't know. But for this year, they can just stay how they are. Autumn, we continue the momentum, and they did say August, but Leagues 2 is coming. Leagues 1, there was such a good success to this. They're going to do Leagues 2, and it seems like they've taken on so much of the feedback in terms of like mentioning that more quests are going to be skipped, combat relics are going to be available more quickly, and the relics are going to be more overpowered, which, to be fair, that's what Leagues needs to be. Leagues needs to be an overpowered juice game mode because it's only a temporary game mode, so that is going to be massive. Harvest Hollow will be back. Runefest is the 3rd to 4th of October. Again, really huge action-packed part of the year as well with a new quest. And then finally, to finish it off, is Havenhythe. We have the Christmas Village event coming back, which is nice. We have all the stuff for part 2, which I'm not going to announce yet, but I imagine this is going to be some mid to high tier content. This could be somewhere where they can really patch out and put some new stuff in it. The graphics for Havenhythe actually look really good. So again, go and watch the video. There's going to be some more remastered content updates, and then finally a new endgame boss in the form of Grassy Blood Knights. So in my opinion, I would say the one little negative I have is that it seems that quests are a little bit of an afterthought, and rightfully so with the amount of stuff they're putting out. Quests just seem to be a little bit to the side, but they did pay a lot of attention to quests this year. I know that going forward that they do want to make the quest storylines wrap up and stuff, and they did do that with the desert this year. I would have thought we would have finished one line up next year, but maybe again, but this is what we're doing for this year to kind of get to the field level ready for next year, and maybe next year can be when sort of quests are pushing stuff like that. But absolutely massive. Again, what I'm going to go and do is put all the stuff in terms of the content for the video and this post in the description. The new user interface is live from today. I didn't realize it was going to be live from today. So we've got the Ask Garnia and also Misfill-In updates as well as the new interface. And go and check the interface out. Let me know in the comments about what you think about the updates and all that stuff like that. Everything you guys need to go and look at the updates and read about the updates is in the description. The post kind of mirrors what the video says. So if you prefer to read the post. If you prefer to watch the video. Or if you want to do both like I do, you can do both, and maybe there's some stuff there. But again, everything we've pretty much mentioned is massive. There's more detail about the combat stuff on the post. They're going to remove thresholds. And again, it's a lot of stuff they've mentioned already, which, again, in terms of this year, it's going to be an absolutely massive year for Runescape 3. This could be the year that Runescape 3 really starts to pick up. The fact that there's been such a lot of hype about Jagex and RuneScape going 25 years this year has put a lot of attention on RuneScape, and it's kind of sort of reminded a lot of people that they used to play this game so long ago in the school years and the early years, and maybe they'd want to go and give it another try back. And the content they're putting out this year is worthy of sort of bringing in a brand new sort of wave of player base and keeping them going for a while as well. But there's so much more screenshots, so many more items. There's Masterwork range armor coming again from all the Havenhythe stuff. I literally have 2 pages worth of notes about how much this post is whacked with updates. There is so much for you to go and read and delve through, but I'm really excited for it. I think Havenhythe is going to bring so much cool stuff in terms of the game. There's loads of new skilling spots. They've brought in things like birdhouses, black chin chompers, the construction stuff, how customizable it looks amazing. You can make everything out of all forms of planks because of the Fort for Infi update. It's not just the standard normal mahogany, teak, oak. You can do anything, and because of that, you've got color customization. Also, though, I just hope they have the usability of the play your own house in 07. That's the real big thing, but it's going to be an absolutely massive year. I am so hyped for it. There's basically too much for me to sort of say in one video without it being 30 minutes long, and you guys don't want to be listening to me talk and ramble for 30 minutes, and I know that as well. However, I am really happy with this sort of post, these updates coming for the forward year. I think it's just going to extend RuneScape 3 out as well. It is chasing old school, and I'll be the first one to admit it. RuneScape 3 is behind old school by quite a bit, but this kind of content, these kind of updates, this kind of visualization of the avatars, the areas, that's where RS3 can get its sort of go ahead compared to the old game, is by looking more modern, more crisp, more flowy. And stuff like this and the content on top is what it can do to sort of get there as well. And I enjoy the old game. I've been playing 07 for a little bit for the past couple of weeks. But I'm really excited from this. The 07 roadmap will be some point soon, which we'll probably do a post on about as well, because I'm really interested to see what that does and if that mimics anything. But in terms of this update, there seems to be a lot of things very similar to 07, which have already been released, re-put in. But I like that. I like that they've seen that it's worked in 07 and are trying to do it as well. But that's it. RuneScape, brand new era, 2026 roadmap. RuneScape ahead has been done. My opinion of it though, really happy, really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a massive year. Let me know in the comments, what do you guys think? Do you think this was a good post? Do you think it's going to work? And what are your hopes going forward for this year? But thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe for future, because we're going to be pushing out so much content. Thank you for watching. I'll see you guys very soon in the next video.